You're watching TAG TV.
Good evening. Welcome to South Asia Newsline. I'm Surabhi Sharma. Here are the top stories we are tracking for you on Monday, the 5th of November. India's nuclear ballistic missile submarine completes first deterrence patrol. Pakistani protesters call for review of Christian woman's acquittal. And Sri Lanka's ousted premier says US-Japan freeze aid over political crisis. And now for all the details. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Monday announced that INS Arihant, the country's first indigenously built nuclear submarine, had completed its first deterrence patrol. The Prime Minister termed the accomplishment as historic and said it gives a fitting response to those who indulge in nuclear blackmail. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Monday announced that India's first nuclear ballistic missile submarine, INS Arihant, has returned from its first deterrence patrol, successfully completing the establishment of the country's survivable nuclear triad. The crew of the strategic strike nuclear submarine was felicitated by the Prime Minister, who lauded the accomplishment, calling it historic, and said it gives a fitting response to those who indulge in nuclear blackmail.
देश की सुरक्षा के लिए एक बहुत बड़ा कदम है। अरिहंत भारत के दुश्मनों के लिए, शांति के शत्रुओं के लिए एक खुली चेतावनी है कि वे भारत के खिलाफ कोई दुस्साहस न करें।
INS Arihant, ore destroyer of enemy, was launched in 2009 by former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh. The successful completion of the deterrence patrol ensure that India will have the necessary second strike capabilities with the country's nuclear shield now complete. The country already has fighter aircrafts and missiles capable of carrying nuclear warheads. In news from Pakistan, members of a Pakistani Islamist party held a massive protest on Sunday demanding the hanging of Asia Bibi, a Christian woman acquitted of blasphemy charges. Pakistan Supreme Court had last week overturned the conviction of Asia Bibi and ordered her release, sparkling protest from hardliners.
Hundreds of members of Pakistani Islamist Party took to the streets of Karachi on Sunday, calling for hanging of Asia Bibi, a Christian woman acquitted of blasphemy charges last week. The members of Jamaat-e-Islami staged a protest despite a deal between the government and ultra-right Tehreek-e-Labbaik Party or TLP to put Asia Bibi on an exit control list, barring her from leaving the country, and open a review of the verdict in the courts. The Jamaat-e-Islami leader said the agreement was made only with one party and that they wanted to know the government's position on the case review.
उनका मुआहदा एक पार्टी से हुआ है, एक जमात से हुआ है जो धरना दिए हुए थी और धरना दे रहे थे और ठीक दे रहे थे। उस धरने से हटाने के लिए किया गया मुआहदा पूरी कौम का मुआहदा नहीं है। 21 और 22 करोड़ लोग ये जानना चाहते हैं कि आपने ECL में नाम डाला है कि नहीं डाला और आसिया अभी कहाँ है। हम ये जानना चाहते हैं कि आप रिव्यू में हुकूमत क्या पोजीशन हासिल करेगी।
Rights groups say the blasphemy law is exploited by religious extremists as well as ordinary Pakistani to settle personal scores against minorities who are often discriminated against. At least 65 people have been murdered over blasphemy allegations since 1990, including a 23-year-old student beaten to death on his university campus last year.
Moving on, anti-Pakistan protests have recently intensified in Pakistan-administered Kashmir against the Neelam Jhelum power plant project, which has been affecting the lives of locals. A massive water crisis has built up of late, which has forced the people to either live in uninhabitable conditions or move to other places.
Anger against the local government and Islamabad has snowballed into a simmering outrage in Muzaffarabad city of Pakistan-administered Kashmir. The locals in the illegally occupied region are deprived of even drinking water as the river Neelam is drying up due to the construction of Neelam Jhilam hydropower plant project. Locals recently carried out protests outside the Office of Water and Power Development Authority and the Pakistani establishment, which they claim have acted against the interest of the common people.
जब से ये नीलम झेलम हाइड्रो पावर प्रोजेक्ट लगा है, सबसे पहली चीज़ ये जो इस वक्त आवाम यहाँ पे खड़ी है, इसको एतमाद में नहीं लिया गया। हमारे वो इलाके थे जो कि पूरे इलाके को पानी मुहैया करते थे, खासकर गांव नड़ा शरीफ जिसमें 75 चश्मे थे, इस वक्त वहाँ पे 3 चश्मे हैं जो कि बिल्कुल ना होने के बराबर है।
हम इसलिए आए हैं, पानी की ज़रूरत है। हमारे मकान में दरारें पड़ गई हैं, सब बच्चों के 3 मकान हैं, 3 टूट फूट गए हैं और हमारी बात को इधर सुनता भी कोई नहीं है। 1 साल हुआ है इधर आते हुए और किसी ने नहीं सुना। ये सब बारातें करते रहे, हमें वादे करते रहे।
Ever since the construction of the Neelam Jhilam hydropower project, the river Neelam appears as a storm water drain filled with sewage waste. The project, which was built in the pretext of bringing prosperity, has deeply affected the lives of the common people, with many of them forced to migrate to other places in the country.
In news from Afghanistan, Afghanistan's presidential palace has appointed a team to visit Uruzgan province in order to resolve the problem of insecurity. The presidential palace has reportedly stated the clashes in Uruzgan are fights between the ethnic groups. Afghan Presidential Palace has appointed a team to visit Uruzgan province in order to resolve the problem of insecurity in the region. The Presidential Palace has also stated the recent clashes in Uruzgan are fights between ethnic groups, reports suggest. However, some members of the Afghanistan's parliament and Senate from Uruzgan said the clashes, especially in Khan's Uruzgan district, are not between ethnic groups.
به یک شکل تسلط داره از چند سال به این طرف اونا کوشش میکنن که در مناطق تشنج آفرینی کنه و تلاشی از اونایی است که موضوع جنگ را به یک شکل قومی بسازه ولی مردم دو طرف هر دو طرفش راضی به جنگ نیستن.
This comes after Uruzgan Provincial Council members and lawmakers have recently criticized security departments over not paying attention to security problems in Uruzgan. Uruzgan representatives in the Senate and Parliament said hundreds of families have been displaced due to the clashes in the province. More news from Afghanistan. The Independent Election Commission of Afghanistan has started the transfer of data to its main servers from the biometric identification devices used in the recently held elections in the country. The use of the biometric device was the result of government's decision to hold a transparent election following increased pressure by political parties.
Independent Election Commission or IEC of Afghanistan on Sunday said it has started transferring data from the biometric identification devices used in the recent election to its main servers. The poll body said the whole process of transferring data from the biometric devices to the main servers will be completed within 2 weeks.
The system نتائج biometric وسائل چې په هغه باندې رای ورکونه تر سره شوې ده څنګه سیستم ته نقلیږي د هغو په نن پیل او آغاز ده.
According to IEC, until now, biometric identification devices from 23 provinces have arrived in the capital, Kabul city. The use of biometric devices was a result of government's decision to hold a transparent election following increased pressure by political parties. Almost 22 biometric devices were purchased by the government from a German company for the polls held on October 20th and 21st.
Moving on to news from Sri Lanka, Sri Lanka's ousted Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe has claimed that the United States and Japan have frozen more than $1 billion of development aid to Sri Lanka after his abrupt dismissal raised doubts about the future of democracy in the country. Sri Lanka's ousted Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe recently said the United States and Japan had frozen more than $1 billion of development aid to Sri Lanka after his abrupt dismissal raised doubts about the future of democracy in the island nation. He said the United States has held off on a nearly $500 million aid program for building highways and improving land administration, while Japan had put on a hold plans to extend a soft loan of $1.4 billion for a light railway project.
A lot of projects are held up. We're due to get money from USA that's held up on the Millennium Project.
Which one? Sorry?
Millennium Challenge project that's
This is $480 million.
for nearly $500 million there. Then I think the Japanese soft loan has been held up. The light railway.
$1.4 billion.
Yeah, so that's held up.
Stressing that there were international concerns about a government that led by Mahinda Rajapaksa, Wickremesinghe said his party will step up a public campaign for parliament to be called and he be allowed to prove his majority. This comes almost a week after his supporters protested against his sacking, bringing many parts of the capital city, Colombo, to a standstill. Sri Lanka was plunged into crisis last month when President Maithripala Sirisena sacked Wickremesinghe and sworn in ex-President Mahinda Rajapaksa to replace him. A water polo tournament was recently organized in India's northeastern Manipur province to revive the slowly dying game in the region. Scores of the spectators gathered to witness different nail-biting games during the 4-day-long event.
A youth organization in India's northeastern Manipur province recently organized water polo tournament to revive the sport culture in the region. Scores of spectators gathered to witness different nail-biting games during the 4-day-long tournament organized by Welfare of Youth Liberal and Conduct organization. Organizers expressed the game is dying a slow death as there is a dearth of water polo swimmers in the province.
Haji ki oinadi club manga tukle ado hadna represent tawudi mari khak tawe aduga sitagi ayamba players singse junior bukti medal lobo phasana ngame junior dagi ayamba loina mak services se changba bsf ta changba dumaina thabuk priority ji government state government pidabni na central government da ayamba loina sakhiba manipur players singse aduna players semka pasi yam waba dumaina oi.
The club has been organizing water sport championships since 2012 and has been awarding the players with the cash prizes to encourage youngsters to take up the game. So far, it has produced 10 international players and more than 40 players have already got placement in paramilitary forces.
With the Hindu festival of lights, Diwali, just around the corner, potters across India are all geared up and busy preparing traditional earthen lamps to meet the increasing demand this year. The demand of earthen lamps had been steadily decreasing over the years with the availability of cheap and more colorful decorative LED lights in the markets during the festival.
With the influence of electric series of lights and wax candles dominating the Indian festive market for a couple of years, traditional earthen lamps or diyas are reclaiming their place ahead of Diwali, the Hindu festival of lights. Potters in northern India are busy preparing diyas and have been preparing them for over 2 months as Diwali approaches. Potters in India's holy city of Varanasi alone are making more than 1,000 lamps in a day to meet the surge in demand.
यही करीब 2-2.5 महीने से तैयारी कर रहे हैं दिया का। इस मार्केट में दिया का भाव तो वही अगले साल जैसा है और हमारा दिया तो काफ़ी दूर-दूर जा रहा है, जौनपुर के साइड में और बाहर भी जा रहा है दिया।
The demand of earthen lamps had been steadily decreasing over the years with the availability of cheap and more colorfully decorative LED lights in the markets. But this year, people are choosing indigenous diyas over LED lights, owing largely to social media campaigns highlighting the plight of the temporary street vendors.
हमारी प्रथा शुरू से यही चलती आ रही है कि यही दीवे लेने चाहिए और यही हमारी धार्मिक धर्म के हिसाब से यही ही हमारे लिए बेटर है.
Hindu festival of Diwali marks the return of God Rama to his hometown Ayodhya city after an exile of 14 years. According to religious epics, the residents decorated the whole town with diyas to celebrate the return of the beloved king, hence initiating the festival of lights. On this day, people illuminate their houses with different types of lights. Fireworks, displays and exchange of gifts with friends and family are an integral part of the festival.
Well, that's all we have for you from South Asia this evening. Now our viewers can watch the show on SouthAsiaNewsline.com. You can also visit us on facebook.com/SAsia Newsline and follow us on Twitter @SAsia Newsline. That's all in tonight's edition. We will see you same time tomorrow. Good night.